All right, this is part two of 13th report of the Primal experience from March 2025 to May 2025. Let's get right to it. So, yeah, these are kind of two intertwining topics, but yeah, let's get it. So, I got curious and tried sea salt again in the form of salting my food. So, I learned once again after doing this that trying just a tiny amount of sea salt grains on raw meat, it was almost inedible, like and immediately repulsive. I just felt like I couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't force my body to eat it. It just felt like it was imbalanced with the sodium level, if you want to say sodium chloride. I feel like I imbalanced the raw meat because it was already kind of the right ratio of minerals, and then I put too many minerals possibly on that, and maybe imbalanced it somehow. Whether it's magnesium, potassium, whatever. And so I think the body rejects that. But when I do put some sea salt grains on like cooked meat, which I've tried, rarely because I try to stay mostly raw doing this, of course. The Primal lifestyle. um, so I had like some cooked meat at a family outing or something, and I try like a little bit of sea salt grains, probably the same amount that I put like on the raw meat. A little bit of sea salt grains, and with the cooked meat, I still find it's edible and it's palatable, and that's probably because I've cooked out all of the water soluble vitamins. I've imbalanced the mineral composition, lost mineral composition, and now the salt is adding back minerals in a way, so the body kind of accepts it more. That's how I look at it. And I know a lot of people have different experiences. Some people can put salt on the raw meat and they're fine, which is very interesting. So I'm open to talking to other people's, self experience and what their journey has led up to the point, like how they can tolerate more salt or not tolerate it. What is the compounding factors possibly? And so I'll actually mention some other salt experiments I ended up doing unintentionally in the next story now. So, this is a long one, but it must be shared. So, this is also a gruesome story warning. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So, I had a random episode 2 weeks ago of severe constipation. It started midday. Nothing came out all day while trying to release it on the toilet. So then I quickly just researched, quick remedies to get things flowing. I tried the emergency formula that was specifically listed from like Ogenous remedies and Q&As and all that. And yeah, it had been like 2 hours after I drank that, and I had no luck clearing the blockage. And maybe you could argue I have to wait longer, but I drank the entire thing extremely fast, and I don't know. I thought it'd be enough time. I didn't have time to wait 24 hours, or some people say it takes that long. But so you could argue, I didn't give it time. Then, out of desperation, tried a suppository for the first time. I did 3 tablespoons of butter, 6 tablespoons of milk because I didn't have any cream or the other stuff to complete the ratio of the recipe. So I substituted with milk, and then I put it in, and then I laid on my right side stomach, did the whole belly roll, contraction movements, to help absorb it better in the bowel. But I could only keep the liquid in there at the suppository for about like 10 minutes, and then I had an extreme urge to like release it. But unfortunately, the blockage did not clear. Only the liquid from the suppository did. So, moving on. After none of those remedies worked, to give you some gruesome detail, the fecal matter was so lodged in the rectum area, in the bowel, that I had to chip away pieces in the rectum with my own finger. And it felt like hard clay, almost like rocks, which is crazy. Like I wasn't able to get all of it out because it was too compacted, and it was had a deep kind of length back into the bowel, I think. So I decided to go to the emergency room. I just had to make that decision because I didn't know how backed up I was or whatever, and nothing was working. And I just wanted to move quickly before something really bad happened, because I hadn't had an issue like this in, probably more than a decade. Yeah. So I found out at the ER it was more than just general constipation. They said it was a rectal digital disimpaction that I had to get the stool out, because it was considered acolic stool. And it's actually like a hard clay texture, they even said themselves. The doctor said it was a light brown color, which is what I saw before I went to the ER. I saw that color, and we both looked at it. That's what it looked like, hard clay. It was light brown. Once they dislodged that from my bowel, they were able to create space to do the enema. And I think that's why I wasn't able to do the suppository enema myself, because my rectum was so blocked up that none of the liquid could get through really in any of the colon to fully lubricate everything and get it out. It was just kind of at the entry point. And so I did the ER enema in 3 different successions to get the whole enema bag in there. Took 3, separate attempts. And I finally cleaned everything out, it felt like. And my whole body felt like it was back to baseline. Like I just had this immense pressure lifted off that bottom, rectum area, which I had for hours that whole day. And I think it had to be done, because I gotten to that point. It was so bad, like the impaction was so bad, and it was extremely dry. We noticed as well, the fecal matter, and so it had to be done. But maybe not the enema. Maybe that didn't have to be done, but I wanted to make sure. So the next 7 days, I tried to narrow down to what the root causes of the impaction was. Before the constipation. So my recent log of foods I had, like before that constipation, was on that Sunday I had like a cooked normie meal, which could have been a huge contributor, of like baked chicken, coleslaw, potatoes, watermelon, all that stuff. It's basically like a cookout. And I rarely combine that much food at once anymore. I like never do that unless it's like a special family occasion. Monday and Tuesday, next day after Sunday, had the usual kind of raw ground beef with some suet and some honey. It's possible that the suet was not fatty enough compared to like animal trimmings, which was a lot more moist. And so I asked other people. Some people said they have issues with suet as well, like constipation almost. And some people don't have issues, so something going on there. Other factors, I'm assuming, contribute to how well you can digest it or not. That's a lot of talking. I gotta catch my breath. So, the only other new things that I've been trying, or that I was trying in that week relative, was trying some like mature coconut meat and some coconut water. That was just random. I don't know why I did that. And then the last week, yeah, I did. The last week before that, I did the colostrum fast for like 5 days. So that could have, caused something as well. I don't know, like a detox, and like waste matter was really pushed through or something. But those days up to the impaction, I could have had way too much fiber, from that cooked meal, all those hard cruciferous vegetables. Or it's possible I was like delipidated. Not enough fat in the body, not hydrated, wasn't sure. So then those next 7 days after that ER and got everything out, I was consuming mostly fermented foods. And it was easy on digestion foods. That's what I wanted to do. And also high fat for the next 7 days, meaning all fresh dairy was switched to fermented dairy like kefir. Barely did any solid foods. Little bit of ground beef when I was ready for it, a couple days into it. Everything felt fine until day 7. It seems I started to get constipation symptoms again, and I eventually had the second episode of constipation. At this point, I was like no longer hesitant to like try alternative measures outside of my usual natural whole food based remedies that are kind of, primal diet based. I talked to several people about the plasma hydration protocol. That's not the official name for it, but that's what I'm calling it to make sense here. Specifically, this is sea salt diluted in water, like a good clean water. And they had said it's a dehydrated colon issue, or dehydrated kind of just body in general. And I read the self-healers protocol specifically from Darko Velkek, was the one who made the whole thing, and or at least it's his spin on it. And he mentioned as well dehydrated bowel causes constipation. So I said, why not? Because I'm not going to the ER again, and I need to act quickly. I didn't want to afford the ER again. I was like, this is ridiculous. I need to figure something out. Try something that I've talked to hundreds of people about at this point, and they said it works. So I'm just like, all right. First I tried 10 grams of sea salt, which is like so much. I haven't like had anywhere near that amount of salt in one sitting, even in a day, probably in like years. So it's 10 grams of sea salt in a liter of water. Maybe that's a lot of dilution, so that's okay. It's something I'm still kind of looking into. It seems like it. And at 2:15, I chugged that within like, this is 2:15 p.m., like some random day. I'm just telling you the time so we can get the, time range between these things happening. And I chugged it within like 3 minutes, that whole liter, and it was really hard to chug all at once. I finished that, and then my stomach right after was like really full, like bloated, it felt like. But 15 minutes later after that, my stomach like stopped feeling full almost entirely. But no diarrhea immediately, no release. I did like after that sometime soon took a piss, and the urine was like light yellow, almost clear. I usually don't have clear urine, so that was probably that excess water coming out. Damn, looks like I'm gonna hit 15 minutes again, so I'm gonna make a part 3. And yeah.